Okay, and you might even have to accept that it's recording. So, welcome you guys to our weekly accountability call. It's Monday, June the 6th. And tonight, our topic is going to be about scheduling and planning. And so, there's so much that goes into that. And so, I'll do my best to make it succinct and make it brief. But there's kind of two aspects into it. And I think one of the things that helped me reframe my struggle with it was kind of, I had a friend, or you hear it in books and you hear it from other coaches and stuff like that, and it is the truth. And so much of it is like, if it was your kid or it was your husband or if it was a doctor's appointment, you would put it on your calendar and you would work the rest of your life around it, right? Like, if I, for example, I just made an orthodontist appointment for Eden on a Saturday, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why is this on, why do you guys even work on Saturday, number one? And I'm like, okay, well, we were supposed to do this, but let me, I'm rearranging my schedule so that I can get my daughter's teeth taken care of because it's important to me. But would I rearrange my schedule to do my workout? Or would, when my friend calls and is like, hey, you want to go shopping at Anthropology? I'm like, yes, drop it all. Like, let's just go. Or am I going to take care of what's important to me? And I think we've had different calls before. You can always go back and look at my YouTube channel and look at our old calls. And we've talked about like really making your why your central focus, because that it all kind of rolls into one another. If it doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter to you, and you're not going to take care of it, and you're not going to do the things that you know you need to do. And that's where, I've worked with hundreds of women throughout the years. And if I had to say the one hard truth that I have to constantly go back to with people is, it doesn't matter to you. Because if it mattered to you, you would do something about it, right? You have a torn rotator cuff and you can't move your arm and it's flopping around. It matters to you. You will go to the doctor. You will get it taken care of. The unfortunate thing is, because our physical health goals, or because our energy goals, or our muscle goals, or weight loss goals, whatever it is, because those are such, it takes so long to see the results of them sometimes, that we think what we're doing doesn't matter. And we're like, well, it does matter to me, but it's taking so long that I just can't, I can't keep the stamina up. And that's where, things like this, accountability calls and checking into accountability nightly, kind of help you stay on track. But the thing that I've kind of written, Linda, like you were talking about writing in your journal, the thing that I have written in my journal is, if it doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter to you. If it does matter to you, it matters to you. And it sounds like such a kitschy little thing, but that's what's going to help you put it on your calendar. So like, one of the little tips that I encourage, especially new people building new habits, put it on your phone calendar. Like, literally go in every single, hey Jackie, welcome. When you go into your week, when you sit down to plan your week, look at your schedule. Like, for example, I knew this morning we had the beach super early this morning. And so I knew if I did not get my workout in, if I didn't start my workout by 5:45, it was not happening, because I knew I could not get my family out the door to get to the beach by 8 a.m. this morning. And so then I just moved my appointment with myself for my workout to this afternoon at 2:30. So this call will end. I will go downstairs and do what I need to do, and I will get to my workout by 2:30, just the same as if I had to make it to an orthodontist appointment. It is that important to me. And so I actually think the workout component is way easier, because that's generally one time a day, right? Like, Linda, you're doing lift 4. So that's 4 days a week. You need to go into your calendar and put it on your calendar. So if you keep a paper calendar, if you keep a wall calendar, if you keep your phone calendar, like whatever is reminding you to go to the doctor, to go to the dentist, that, Susie has, a podiatry appointment at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, wherever you're keeping track of that, you need to put yourself there. Because if this matters to you, if your health or your weight or your A1C levels or whatever, if it matters to you, you need to treat it like an appointment that matters to you. So be sure that you are scheduling in those times. I also think if you have, like, Kathy works out with, I think you said it's your sister-in-law, Kathy, right? Yeah, she works out with her sister-in-law. And so, if recruit somebody to do this with you. And I think when I don't know. And I feel like recruiting is like a bad word to it. And I don't mean like recruit them and like come to my cult, but like recruit them and like, hey, do you have time at 8 a.m. on Saturday to come work out with me? You know, and that way you build another level of accountability in. And that was what changed everything for me with coaching and everything, because it was like I found myself kind of dwindling off because I'd hit some early goals, right? And then I was dwindling off and needed to kind of put myself in a fishbowl so that other people were holding me accountable too, which is a byproduct of why you all are here right now. But so like I said, workout I feel like is a little easier because it's like once a day. You know, most of us are doing beach body programs here, so we're looking at what, 30-40 minutes a day. So block it off on your calendar and let that be that. So talking about nutrition though, that's where I feel like people are like, okay, well, we just kind of fly by the seat of our pants in my family, or I go about my whims and what do I feel like eating? Or, you know, my friend texted me and said, hey, I have time to go to lunch. You want to go to lunch today? And so we just throw the plan out the window. And then it's like, oh, well, that doesn't matter anymore. And then, you know, 3 weeks later, you're like, oh, yeah, no, it did matter. Whoops, didn't mean for that to last that long, kind of thing. So one of the things that I would highly encourage you to do, and I can't tell you what to do with this, right? Because it's not my, I don't have control over your calendar. Like I barely have control over my own calendar half the time. But you need to make time to meal plan or meal prep. There, it's kind of a non-negotiable, and I'm sorry that it's that way, like, but it's just a fact of life. Like if you want this area of your life to improve, you have to carve out some time. And again, I would encourage you to put it on your calendar like an appointment. I use my calendar for everything. So like Saturday mornings between 8 and 9 a.m. is my time to meal plan. And I will say at this stage of the game for me, and because of the measures that I've put in place, and we'll talk about those in a minute, kind of some life hack sort of things, it does not take me long. When I first started doing this, it took me for flipping ever to do this, like hours. And now because of things like the meal plan that I have prepared for us in our boot camp every month, it takes me like 15 minutes, because what I do, and this is the life hacky part of this, is I go in there, I pull it up on my phone or on my computer, or I print it. Like some months I have printed off in, like, I'll spiral bound them in, I wish I had it up here, it's downstairs in the kitchen. But I sent the document to Kinko's and had them spiral bound it so that I can like literally have the recipe book open right there on the counter with me. And that's a great way. I mean, it does cost a little money, but you know, hey, you just got a 50-page cookbook for the cost it took to print at Kinko's, you know. Excuse me. And so one of the things that I will do is I will sit down with my calendar and my meal plan, because the reality is I'm not going to not live my life. This plan cannot be a diet. A diet is inflexible, right? This is a lifestyle and it's sustainable, and that's just what it is. So like this plan has to fit the fact that like last night I went out to a concert. So I'm looking at my schedule and I knew, okay, at 6 p.m. on Sunday night, I had a concert I was going to. So we're probably going to go out to eat. So I text my friend, hey, are we going out to eat? Yes. Where are we going to go out to eat? How about California Pizza Kitchen? So therefore I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to eat at California Pizza Kitchen on Sunday night. What is the rest of my day going to look like? And I do a very, very simple breakfast, lunch, dinner, like half the time it's on scrap paper, sometimes it's in a notebook. And I just kind of sketch it out on that of like, okay, I know we have church on Sunday morning, so I need to have my Shaco before we leave for church. So I'm not tempted for the church donuts. And then lunch will be at the house. So I'll do like, you know, we had leftover taco salad. So I was like, I'll make a leftover taco salad for lunch. And then dinner, we're going to eat out before the concert. But what that does is gives me a picture so that I feel more in control of what I'm going to be eating throughout the day. I do that once a week. It doesn't have to be once a week for you. If that does not work for you, then do it the night before. One of the other really effective techniques that I've used with a lot of clients is carve out time, 5 minutes at night. Maybe it's you put the kids down, and before you sit down in front of the TV, you just look over your calendar for the next day. And you're like, Jackie's a realtor, so I know this is super applicable to you, but she's like, okay, well, I know I have a showing at 10 and I know I have another showing at 3 and I've got to do this at 4:15. So then you're just plugging in your meals there so that you're not having to react. You're being proactive with your meals. And that's where I feel like the most common thread of success with people who are very successful in their health and wellness is that they're proactive about it. They aren't just letting the winds carry them where they look at, Vicky's throwing stuff in a bag, like, for example, I know, say, trying to give good examples here that would be applicable to everybody, but like, say my kids have an appointment, it's summertime too. So that's always crazy, right? Like, we're going to go to the beach. We have an appointment at 10, we have this, and I know I'm going to be out. So one of the things, because I know my propensity is to run through the Starbucks drive-through, right? Like, and why not get a croissant, like, who cares? So instead I have things like, I have a list, not a physical, I mean, there is a physical list in our meal plan, but like, I know in my head, we have apples, we have almonds, we have beach bars, we have these things that will always fit in my nutrition plan. So I just throw a bunch of stuff in a bag and throw it in my car, so that I'm not trapped after an appointment getting my tires in that took 4 hours instead of the 2 that I had planned. I'm not trapped and hungry. And because the hungrier you are, the more bad choices you're going to make, right? Like, you don't want to get stuck in a spot where you're having to think on the fly while you're hungry. I mean, one of the old adages is like, don't grocery shop hungry, right? Well, also, don't go to the car store hungry, like, don't go through life hungry, because you're going to default to old patterns. And so if you have not set up a really incredibly strong foundation yet, you have to kind of treat yourself like a little kid, and be like, listen, I know that maybe this is week 2 for you. So 6 weeks ago, what would Kathy have done if she got stuck, at a car appointment? Maybe Kathy, I don't know, but like, maybe Kathy would have rode through the Taco Bell. Well, new Kathy does not run through the Taco Bell. She pre-plans and has almonds and an apple and, a couple of little things. And that doesn't mean that life is not going to happen, right? Like, we all have been there. It happens. Like, you just can't control all of life. And so, yes, sometimes you are going to run through the Starbucks line, but because of the way you've been building these foundation blocks, you're going to be able to make a better choice then. But as much as you can now, especially in the beginning of your journey, put some precautions, put some bumpers in, give yourself some bumper rails until you do feel like, well, I don't know. I say that I still pack snacks every day. When we leave the house, I will always have this jug filled with water, and I will always have snacks, because you just never know what's going to happen. But sitting down and carving out some times to plan that kind of stuff works really, really well. And I actually think, everybody has a different lifestyle, right? So talking about meal prepping to some people, I can say, okay, guys, we're going to meal prep, and all 5 of you will come to my house with a very different expectation of what you think is going to happen. Maybe Linda thinks we're going to make all 3 meals for every single day of the week, and we're going to have them in plastic containers, and they're going to be stacked in our fridge, And Kathy comes over, and she's got a knife and a cutting board and some Ziploc bags, because she's just going to cut a bunch of stuff up and put them in bags and throw them in the fridge. So like, everybody has a different understanding of what meal prepping is. And I think that comes with experience and figuring out what works in which season for your life. Because, for us in the summertime, most of the time I'm home in the evenings, and I enjoy cooking and I enjoy being in the kitchen. So I don't want to eat a pre-prep meal that I stuck in my refrigerator 4 days ago, but in a very different season of my life, where we have basketball games and PTT meetings and this and that after school and jujitsu, what's really great? Having a meal already put together in your fridge, so play with the, hey, Cynthia, yay. You can also play with what is working in what season of life you are in. And like I said, I feel like I feel like everybody wants to have this prescription, like, okay, we're going to do this, and this is exactly what it's going to be like, and you're going to follow this exact plan, and it's going to work the exact same for everybody. But that's not reality, because Linda doesn't have small children in her home anymore. Cynthia does. Jackie is a realtor and Kathy works in an office and Vicky, is out running around fishing. She'd ride a motorcycle. So, I mean, everybody's lifestyle is different. And so that's why this plan that you create for yourselves with, group support and my support as a coach, we have to make it work for you and what works for your lifestyle. A couple of other things as far as like scheduling and making time that I find incredibly effective is and again, like we can cross stitch it on a pillow later or something, but like, what can I do right now that will make tomorrow better is my adage for every single day of my life. What can I do right now that will make my life better tomorrow? So one of those things is I cut up veggies as soon as we get home from the grocery store, right? Like if especially now with groceries being heck of expensive for everybody, right? Like we want to get the maximum out of our food. So therefore, like sometimes baby carrots are going to be more expensive than big long carrots. So I'm going to buy big long carrots to save us some money. Well, big long carrots, especially for kids, right? Like they don't want to my son gnaws on a big carrot, which is weird, but my daughter will not just put a big carrot in her mouth and chew on it. So like we got to peel it, we got to cut it into sticks. I don't put the carrots away. When I grocery shop, I make sure that I give myself a buffer on the back end of that to pre-prep the food that I have bought. So like I'll cut up some sticks of cucumber, I'll cut up some like half the bell peppers in the Costco pack. And I have a big clear plastic container that I make essentially a veggie tray out of. And we do it almost every week. And I'll just put a bunch of veggies in there. And guess what? Every single week they get eaten. Every single week when I go to make dinner and it calls for, bell peppers, if it's getting to be the middle of the week, the end of the week, I will grab them out of the little veggie snack thing that I've made and finish dicing them up. We're already halfway there. You know what I mean? We're saving time on each individual piece of it. And I think that kind of goes a really long way. There have been seasons in my life where lunchtime is the crazy time, right? Like, oh my God, I just can't eat a healthy lunch to save my life. So on Sunday afternoon, after we get home from church, I'll make I call them like mason jar salads. You don't have to put them in a mason jar, but I'll make like mason jar salads. And I'm not going to do 7 of them, like they're going to go bad before I can eat them, but I'll do 3. So that way, 3 days during the week, if things get crazy and crap hits the fan, I can just grab one of those jars of salad out, throw it in my cooler bag and head out the door. Anything. I don't think meal prepping has to be as big as some people make it out to be. It can, if that's the life, a friend of mine, her boyfriend here locally he's really into weightlifting and he's single. Well, not single, but like lives alone. He's got a girlfriend. He doesn't have like a family or anything. And he spends his Sunday afternoon prepping every meal for the entire week because he's like, this is the lifestyle that I have. He doesn't have kids. He doesn't have other responsibilities. You know what I mean? But he has a lot of work and he doesn't want to have to deal with it the rest of the week. Great. That works for him. Good for him. That would drive me crazy. You have to do what works the best for you. And I will say it does take some trial and error. But I will also say, I think that the big key to that is putting it on your calendar, setting aside time to think about food, right? Like, what am I going to have? What is my calendar like? Because we don't want to be caught off guard. And then the other thing is just doing a little bit every day that makes tomorrow better. So I look at my calendar before, usually it's like I put the kids to bed at 8:30ish. And then I'm cleaning up the kitchen. And while I'm cleaning up the kitchen, I look at my calendar. I look at my lately I've been writing it on an index card. Like I was saying, like Monday, breakfast, lunch, dinner. What does my schedule look like? This is what that is. If you have the 2B Mindset Tracker book, there's a great like little spread in there that you can write that kind of thing out in. And it has a space for your, what do you call them? Like your appointments and stuff. So you can, again, keep track of what's going on in your real life, not just, because what I found with working with some people is that they will, they'll do these beautiful, impressive meal plans. And I'm like, that's amazing. Do you guys not have anything going on at all this week that you are able to make all of that? And she's like, oh, well, no, I mean, we have baseball 3 times this week. I'm like, oh, so you set aside the meal prep? Oh, no. I'm like, then what did we do this for? Why did you make this impressive meal plan and grocery shop and bought all these groceries that you're just going to throw away? Like, make the plan fit the life that you actually have. And Vicky's like, yes, make the plan fit the life you have, right? Like, if you know you're going to be out 3 of the nights of the week, make sure you have leftovers already packed up and ready to go. There's a lot of little like time hacks that you can use to save your skin there. And then the other thing that I find incredibly helpful is, and it kind of goes along with the adage of, what can I do today to make tomorrow better? Sometimes what I can do today is I have 20 minutes before I sit down. Because let me tell you this, let me stop my story here. If I sit down on the couch in the evening, I'm done. I'm not getting up. I'm not going back to the kitchen and pre-prepping me. I'm not like, if I turn Stranger Things on, we're done for the night. Okay. Like, done. So I have to do it before I sit down or it's not going to be done. So I will look at my meal for the next day, and like, we do jujitsu usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so if I know on Wednesday that we have jujitsu, and I'm only going to have an hour to do something that's going to take me 2 hours to, get together, I'll take the chicken out of the freezer the night before. I will cut up the veggies the night before. I will maybe make the sauce the night before and stick it in a container in the fridge, just so that next day, all I have to do is boop, 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 boop in the pot, and I don't have to full and make a meal every single night. It's kind of more like putting things together. So hopefully that is really helpful for you guys. And the other thing, as far as like time management goes, I just want to touch on this because Linda was bringing it up before the call kicked off, talking about getting up and out of bed in the morning. So first off, I do think a lot of it has to go into mindset, right? Like, because if it matters to you, it matters to you. Like, if you were going to go on a trip with your friend and your flight left at 6:15, you would be dang sure you'd be up and at it. And you'd probably be up at 4 because you're just so excited you're going on a trip, you can't sleep. But if the workout of the day required you to get up and at them for 6 a.m., you'd be like, I'll get it done later, because there's always that more time. But if we started treating it like, actually, there's not more time, and if I don't do it right now, it won't get done, the mindset starts to shift into a different mode. There's a couple of books that I feel like were really helpful for me in mindset, as far as like getting up and getting out of bed and that kind of thing. And Miracle Morning was one of them. And Atomic Habits, before I get off track, Atomic Habits is the other one. Those 2 books I felt like were really impactful for, again, just kind of time management tips, tricks, hacks kind of thing. And obviously they have their own systems and all of that. But one of the things that he talks about in Miracle Morning that really helped me was, as soon as the alarm goes off, to put your feet on the floor. And I'm okay. And this is, again, very revealing into my pathetic childlike psyche, but I play games with myself. So like, I have a very messy card usually. And so if the car gets too messy, I start playing a game, which is, you're not allowed to leave the car without grabbing 3 things. Well, you're not allowed to go upstairs without taking 3 things from the downstairs that belong upstairs. And you're not allowed to go downstairs without taking 3 things from upstairs that belong downstairs. It's a pathetic game, you guys. Like, I'm a grown woman. I should not need to do this. Yet here we are. Same thing kind of goes for the morning. So he started assigning, or he recommends assigning points to things. And he's like, the goal is to get to 5 points. So putting your feet on the floor is 1 point. Turning the light on is 2 points, or, another point. Brushing your teeth, or peeing, really, because you want to pee before you brush your teeth. You got to pee, right? So go pee. That's point number 3. Point number 4, brush your teeth. And for me, point number 5 is taking my thyroid pill. So yours could be like putting on your sports bra, like whatever it is. And he's like, by point number 5, you are awake. The odds of you getting back into bed, covering back up, and going back to sleep are very low, especially if like point number 5 for you is like, I don't know, making energize. Like for me, if I can get to the point of making energize, I am good to go. Like, I promise I can get up and move along. It's before the making of the Energized that I'm like, I could crawl back in that bed. It is awfully warm. And so giving yourself points and playing like silly games like that. You know, he also talked about things. He's like Hal Elrod is the guy who created Miracle Morning, and he talks about things like having an your your lights on a timer. And I feel like nowadays with Amazons and Alexas and Google Homes and all of that, like super easy. Like have your Alexa turn on your lamp at, it's like a $10 thing that you can get off of Amazon. Like have it turn on your lamp at 5:30. Well, brain psychology wise, if the lights are on, it's harder to go back to sleep. So like doing some things like that that will really get you to move into the direction of what you need to do. And another one, and I guess this goes back to like recruiting and accountability. And I don't mean that from like a business standpoint. I mean it from like, you know, my friend Vanessa wants to wake up at 5:30, and I have trained myself now to wake up at 5:30. So Vanessa's like, "Will you text me?" Well, now I know that someone is waiting for me to text them at 5:30. So it's more likely that I will be up and at 'em and ready to go when I know someone is waiting on me, right? So like maybe there's somebody in your life that also really wants to incorporate this healthy habit. Like get them on board and say, "Hey, will you text me if you're already up? Like, will you text me?" Or like, "Hey, let's make a pact that we're going to text each other at 6 a.m., you know, and get up and get out of bed," kind of thing. I used to have a friend who called me, bless her. She's a good friend. She would call me at 5:15 every single morning, because when we lived in Tennessee, she lived in Virginia, and it was 6:15 in the morning there. So it wasn't any skin off of her back. She's walking out the door, getting ready to go to work. And so every day she would get ready to go to work. This is when my babies were little. And she would call me on her way out of the door, and she would not let the phone stop ringing until I picked up. And God, I hated it. I hated it so much. But I got up out of bed, and I got to hear my sweet friend Drew's voice every single morning. So, and sometimes she was nice and sometimes she wasn't. She's like, "Get up, get out of bed, let's go." But you can pick a nicer friend than my friend Drew. She was sometimes not nice, but it was effective. So, but that is, you know, that's kind of what I want you guys to work on. I try also to give you guys some homework each call that we do. So homework wise, what I really want you to focus on over the next week is putting things on your actual calendar. So if that's, even if you think you don't need to and you think it's beneath you and like, "Oh, I've been doing so good with my workouts, I don't need to put them on my calendar." I promise you, because we had this conversation, life will happen and it will get hard this week. So I want you guys to put your workouts on your calendar this week. And I also want you to set aside some time for meal planning. And then if, you know, if meal prepping needs to be involved in that, then set aside some time on your actual calendar. Not like, "Oh, I think I will do this on Tuesday." Like, no, I will be doing this on Tuesday at 9 a.m. There's a very big difference in what you mentally plan to do and what you physically put on a calendar to do, and or on an appointment sheet. It's a very psychologically different experience. So that's your homework for the week. I am going to stop recording right now, and then we can go into question and answer for about 15 minutes if you guys have that. I'm not going to call on anybody. You don't have to speak on this one if you don't want to, but not like the wins of the week. But I will, you know, don't be shy about asking questions. You're not going to be recorded or anything.